All right, lads, we're going back in time to the 10th annual Hunger Games, yeah? And we're going to find out one important question. If President Snow, if he's a songbird, or if he's a snake. Find out this week on Marathon Me, yeah?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
The fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Welcome back to Marathon Me, bros, with your host, Kane and Rhys here. Nah, fuck that. Oh, jeez, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Marathon Me with your hosts, Rhys
And Kane.
and we are coming back to the Hunger Games franchise with the first prequel in the franchise. This is a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Kane, we also have to give context that Kane and I could not watch this immediately after we marathoned the other movies because there were no session times that suited us perfectly. So we had to. So like that, there's a big time difference between the mainline Hunger Games franchise and this prequel. We also had a tiny bit of a time gap between them as well, which I think sort of works for the marathoning experience of this. Well, so this is a prequel film, right? And it's following the young adulthood of President Snow, what everyone has been asking for. Was this asked for? Was this something that through the movies you're like, I want to know, I need to know where this guy comes from?
Not really, because I feel like you know my kind of stance on prequels and all that, where I've never been the biggest fan of them. I've warmed up to prequels in recent days. So going into this, I'm like, you know what? This could be gripping. It could be it could be something similar to the Star Wars prequels, except, maybe actually intentionally good instead of, somewhat good and also somewhat bad, you know what I mean?
I think
more consistent, you know?
I think that the risk that so many prequels sort of that they sort of lie in, right, is that trying to make everything meaningful and connect to the original sort of franchise or whatever medium is there in the first place, and almost forcibly trying to explain everything to the extent that it does not matter, and it's we don't need to know why Han Solo has his name. And I think that when something like Red Dead Redemption 2 does not shove in your face, this is why John Marston's name is John Marston. This is why this is why this looks like that, and trying to over-explain everything. So that's a big question about this movie is, does it do that? And I think the Hunger Games is such a rich source material to over the top explain everything in this prequel, and it does exactly that, and it over-explains freaking everything to the max, and it makes it a little bit annoying and a bit frustrating.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that sentiment, is that, while I have warmed up to prequels, I definitely do agree that a prequel's tendency to over-explain and make sure everything connects to what will come later in the film, in said film series. It can either feel forced, grating, and just downright ridiculous sometimes. You know what I mean? It's fucking stupid, man. Honestly, but with this one, they definitely do. It definitely has a lot of moments where it's just where you're rolling your eyes when they're trying to tie into the rest of the Hunger Games movies and all that, instead of trying to tell its own kind of self-contained story and all that. You know what I mean? I feel
totally.
A prequel works best when, yes, show a character's origins, yes, sure, but try to just keep it self-contained, where you can watch the film on its own and still get enough out of it, and not just feel that you're watching almost DLC or doing homework for watching other films in said series. Does that make you get what I mean?
The tug of war is between trying to be a good standalone film and trying to be as good fan service as you possibly can be. And that's where it tatters that's where so many will tatter the line. But this one ultimately felt so much like it was the fan service side was winning that tug of war. And there would be so many lines and little things that that if you're watching this as a solo first-time viewer or you don't really have an investment in the series, you're like, what's the point of this? What is going on here?
Yeah. But a lot of it can just like fly over a new viewer's head or whatever, you know what I mean?
Oh, completely. And this is also like there's been like roughly almost 10 years between this and the rest of the Hunger Games movies coming out, that it is almost exposing a slightly new generation to this franchise now. It's mainly as a bit of nostalgia for the people that were really invested in the first 4 films and in like in the book series and the whole IP in general, but it's also a little bit like all the 13-year-olds now that were not really conscious human beings when the other movies were coming out can see this and then hopefully catch up with the other movies on streaming to then get really invested in the IP again, and then everyone gets the box set of books for Christmas. Like that's what it feels like this film is really, really like the major function of it is.
It definitely kind of is. Sorry, I just wanted to say that it definitely kind of does serve as like a new introduction to new viewers and all that. I was talking with someone, I don't remember who, but she said that like she showed her boyfriend. Oh no, it was Hannah that said that, right? Where like she showed her boyfriend the prequel movie, and then he was like, "Oh, I want to watch the rest of the movies and all that," because like the prequel was the first one that he saw, right? Am I remembering this correctly?
I think that you were correct. Yeah.
Yes, okay, good.
Or was it because you know how it was Jacob's party that we both went to after you saw this movie? Was it the people that we spoke to around the punch bowl? Was it them that potentially said that?
I have no. I know someone said it. I can at least attribute to that. I can at least stand by the fact that I know someone said it. So the film is doing it. So the film, despite of what our thoughts will be on it, it is serving as like as an introduction to like new viewers of the series that maybe did not latch onto the series back in the day during its heyday. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exposing to new audiences. But I think that one thing that we should get out of the way now is a massive spoiler alert for this video, or for this audio, because this is still quite a fairly recent movie. So spoiler alert right now. And I think maybe we should get into the trailer for Songbirds and Snakes.
You seem like a good man, Coriolanus Snow.
I have seen what war does to people.
Fueled with the terror of becoming prey. See how quickly we become predator? I want my enemies to see a rainbow of destruction engulfing the world.
You're monsters! All of you!
Good luck with that poor little songbird.
Where is she?
It's a mystery. And mysteries have a way of driving people mad.
Mr. Snow, let me ask you one final time. What are the Hunger Games for?
Well, so I guess what everyone's been wondering, because, you know, we've just been busy, you know, yapping all day and all that, is what does Marathon Me? What do they think about the new Hunger Games movie? Is it worth the almost 10-year wait for new Hunger Games content? Is the story of young President Snow a story worth telling? I was really into this movie for, I'd say, the first half.
Okay.
But man, it starts to lose me as the film goes on, and after like watching it, I'm like kind of when I was on my way to Jacob's party, I'm picking it apart more and more and more, and I'm like, it's not bad. But man, is it messy. It's really messy in some places. I'll get into it soon, but I want to hear your just like straight up opinion about it first, and then we'll kind of get into what we like, what we don't like, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So, what do you think?
Messy is a perfect way to put this, I think, because I also quite enjoyed my time, especially near the first sort of half of this film. But it did feel really sort of silly in moments. Characters not acting like real human beings, and a lot of that tell, don't show storytelling going on in this film, where it's probably one of the most, like, complicated like Hunger Games films, to be honest, as in there's the most that goes on, because most of the films that we've watched so far are almost like 2-act films. Like there's a very distinct first half and second half, pre-Hunger Games, and then when the games start. And this one is broken up into 3 parts, which is directly told to the audience in case you couldn't distinguish that.
I forgot about that. I forgot it because, like, I actually forgot to mention, I came in the movie, like, I think 15, 20 minutes late, so when the title card for Act 2 came up, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is interesting, okay. But I forgot about that.
Thinking about this a little bit more, just to, like, as a little bit of a sidestep, thinking about how you missed out on the first, like, 15 minutes or so, you did miss out on one thing that I thought was really, really interesting that was definitely, that's definitely pretty upsetting to miss, is the first, like, probably 5 minutes of this film is like you see President Snow as like a child during like the sort of war going on when like so this is like pre-Hunger Games even becoming a thing, and what would you call it? What is it when the Hunger Games start going? Is it sort of like their like not referendum.
The reaping?
The reaping, yeah. It's like pre-reaping, and you see this like sort of like almost completely Holocaust-looking world that is like it's all snowy and desolate. It's extremely post-apocalyptic, and then the Hunger Games and the world that we know it as Pan Am is like post-apocalyptic. So you do miss out on seeing that, which is the only glimpse that you get in the entire franchise of seeing like the pre-reaping Pan Am.
That would have been cool. Damn.
It is interesting to see. But anyway, and you're definitely right that this is a very long movie. It's the longest Hunger Games film, and you really feel the length because of like that whole like in the marathoning process of this. It has one extra act more than every other Hunger Games film, and that last act is not like half an hour. It felt like it went for so long. When the Hunger Games ends, when the Hunger Games like actually finishes, you still have like almost an entire movie to go, it feels like.
I remember legitimately thinking, like, after the Hunger Games ends and we have President Snow getting exiled, I legitimately thought like the movie was about to start wrapping up and all that, and they leave like Lucy Gray's whereabouts unknown. What happened? What was her fate after the games? I'm thinking like, okay, so the movie's gonna be over, and then as he gets his head shaved, he gets sent to District 12. I'm like, okay, it's gonna keep going. All right, let's see what they've got in store for us. And I'll say this. It is an interesting concept, like what they do with the final act of this movie. You know, President Snow as a peacekeeper. I think it is a very interesting concept. But man, it really uproots the pacing of the story like crazy. You know, like because. I feel like there was a decent balance between like a slow and frenetic pace with the first half, but man, it kind of just comes down to a grinding halt. Basically a grinding halt within the third act of this movie. Once he gets to District 12, you're just kind of sitting there wondering like, okay, like when is like the big moment gonna happen? You know.
The pacing is completely off here. It's one of the worst. It's probably the worst pacing of the Hunger Games franchise, I feel.
I mean, in a way, yeah, I agree, but I don't know. I kind of still feel like Mockingjay Part 1, I think, has worse pacing, to be honest. At least this kind of feels like a complete movie. It feels like three. Okay, hang on. It feels like two, 3 movies in one, but it feels at least. It feels more complete than what Mockingjay felt. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like the pacing in this one was a tiny bit better than Mockingjay, but it's not really saying much.
Okay, very, very important thing to discuss about the pacing and the structure of this movie, right, is that essentially it's almost like a little bit of a character study of President Snow, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to see this arc of him sort of becoming the President Snow that we know today in the rest of the franchise. And in my opinion, this is the biggest failure of this movie, is that the arc of President Snow is like you think that, especially with it being like distinctly split up into 3 pieces, you think it's like the rise of him falling in love and like growing this compassion and empathy. And then you would think, right, in this third act is his slow descent into madness or corruption or whatever. But it just happens like that. Like, it happens in an instant that he goes from, it feels like that to me anyway, that he goes from the good, compassionate, loving man that you're supposed to be rooting for throughout this entire film to then he's an evil piece of shit that is then the Snow that you know in the rest of the Hunger Games.
Yes, Rhys, yes. That is my biggest gripe with this movie, is that they kind of... The movie basically fails at the one thing, like the one main thing it's trying to give us a proper villain origin story, because honestly, his rise to villainy feels like an afterthought in this film. Like during the first act, the first half of this movie, I'm thinking like, okay, they're really gonna have to try to convince me that like this is this, because like I'm not convinced that this is the same Snow that would eventually grow up to be Donald Sutherland and become like basically the Adolf Hitler of Pan Am and all that. But you know what? It's only the first half. Okay, I'm sure they're going to try to really like hammer it home in the second half. But like once he gets to District 12, it like they're going so slow with this corruption and descent into madness that Snow goes through. And even during scenes like where he shoots one of the members of this rebellion, I'm thinking like, okay, so this is when his descent into madness starts. No, he's still a very loving, compassionate guy, and wanting to do what's best for Lucy Gray and all, and wanting to run away with her. And then as the movie just continues, I'm like, okay, like as we're going, I'm like, okay, when is this happening? Is it going to happen at all? And then during the last like 10-15 minutes, he just snaps on a dime, and it's like, okay, now he's evil. It's like now he's trying to murder Lucy Gray, and I'm legitimately sitting there in the theater. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah.
This feels like it came out of nowhere. Like, honestly, I don't want to bring up the Star Wars prequels again, but like as rushed as Anakin's descent into Darth Vader felt, that at least kind of felt more natural than how it did in Songbirds and Snakes, because there were at least like little pieces being formed in the previous films and in Revenge of the Sith to then his big turn as Darth Vader. In this, it's like they put in tiny pieces, but it's not enough, and it's also not conveyed in a way where it makes him look out to be a villain. Like when he basically is responsible for getting Sejanus killed. You think, I don't know, like I'm seeing it and I'm thinking like, okay, so maybe this is like, maybe they'll show him like kind of like being like, oh, it was a means to an end, I had to do it to save my own skin. But then you see him like crying over Sejanus after the fact, after he gets hung at the hanging tree, and I'm like, okay, so is he not going to be evil or some shit? Like he's crying and like remorseful. It's like, this is not the same Snow that would grow up to be Pan Am's Benito Mussolini. What the fuck?
It dedicates way too much time and effort into like this film wants you to almost fall in love with Snow and paint him as this heartthrob, which is like an element to the sort of preteen appeal of this film, right?
Which look, definitely worked and all that. I've talked to several people about this movie, and they all say the same thing with their thirsting over President Snow and all that. And it's like, look,
completely.
Good looking man, especially like with the bleached buzz cut and all that. Like very, very good looking man and all that. And also, like, they really want you to fall in love with Snow. They really want you to like buy this romance between him and Lucy Gray, and I bought it.
Yeah,
but I was also like, I bought it. I was genuinely really like invested in their story, but like. I was invested because like, I knew it was going to be like a tragic romance, and I really enjoyed tragic romance stories. but the movie forgets to be a President Snow origin story. It wants to tell its own thing, and then right at the end, right at the finish line, they're like, "Oh shit! Right, yeah, we're supposed to be he's supposed to be an actual like monster. Okay, just have him like go crazy and start trying to shoot her. All right, let's just do that. Like what?"
I agree that I was rooting for them throughout this film. Like, it got that's the thing, is that it gets that actually done really effectively, is presenting him as this heartthrob and as this character that you want to get behind, but it is incompatible with the ultimate conclusion that he turns into the fucking face of evil in this world. And
completely.
And like, you know where I think that they could have gotten away with this? If they maybe ended it in this place where President Snow isn't, or his name's Cornelius, right? Where Cornelius maybe isn't Coriolanus, sorry. Where Coriolanus maybe doesn't end as like the ultimate symbol of evil, but maybe ends with just like a bit of a darker side to him that sort of hints at the descent that he's about to go through. But no, I think that these final shots do try to tell you he is the Snow that we know now. He is he is the ultimate form of evil in this world right now, but you don't see that happen. You don't.
No, you don't. Like,
it drops.
You get one line from his cousin Tigress, who
apparently we'll talk about that.
We get one line at the very end from Tigress where she's like, "You look just like your father," and that's supposed to be like the big like gut punch line where it's like, "Oh, he's completed his transformation. It all comes together." And I was just sitting there like, really, this is the big Darth Vader getting suited up in the suit for the first time. This is the big crescendo to his villain origin arc, like. Because it feels so half-assed. And even, like, what you were saying before about, like, maybe the film should end on, like, maybe the film hinting at him and the darker path that he's going to go down towards. Even then, I don't think it would work. Because it would still feel like a completely different film with just, and he's evil, like, tacked on at the end, I feel.
Yeah, totally. It's almost like a... like, you think that you're going to get a descent, but really what you see is like a psychotic break, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But that like feels almost inconsequential. Like he just randomly snaps, and that doesn't feel satisfying. That just I could not believe that they did that, especially where they had so much time to really focus on this arc. I don't know what else you would want to focus on as filmmakers in making this film than making sure that arc works and is satisfying.
You know what I think is the problem with this movie and them trying to convey Snow's descent is that, again, like, they do try. There are attempts to show a darker side. Like, I think the first instance is when he murders one of the tributes and all that's trying to kill him. And, it's waved away as like he was just protecting Sejanus and saving his own skin. But I think there's a scene later where he's like, it made me feel good. It made me feel powerful and all that. And, the problem is, though, is that, like, those scenes where they're actually trying to, like, plant the nuggets of his descent, they work. But the film's problem is that it's almost afraid to paint him in a negative light because they don't want to scare off all the preteen audiences that are going to be, thirsting over him and making romance edits between him and Lucy Gray. So it's almost like they backpedal and are like, okay, we showed him doing some heinous act. Okay, now here's him and Lucy Gray with some real romantic tension and all that, like showing that he's a real sweetheart. It's like, just movie, can you pick a lane and go with it, please? Like, for Christ's sake, pick a lane. Also, pick a goddamn just one storyline to go through. You want to go through him rising through the ranks in his uni and the planning of the Hunger Games? Do you want to show his perspective during the Hunger Games, or do you want to show him as a peacekeeper? Just pick a lane and go with it, dude. Like, oh my lord, this film's so scatterbrained. It's like having a conversation with me sometimes, where it's like you jump from one thing to the other and then it'll tie back to the first thing, but then it'll tie back to the third thing, and sometimes you won't even finish the conversation. What the fuck?
Man, you are completely right. It doesn't commit. That's the biggest crime that this film really, really commits, is that it doesn't commit. Someone that I think does commit, though, is Tom Blythe. I think did a really, really good job in this.
Yeah.
And he acted the shit out of Coriolanus Snow and really, really tried to... I think that he did everything that he could have. Potentially, I'm wondering even if there might be deleted scenes out there, an even longer version of this movie that have a more sort of a slower and more paced out descent to madness.
Yeah.
But then they cut it out there because they didn't want to sacrifice the charming nature of Tom Blythe.
Yeah,
and
you might be right about that, honestly.
Imagine if that's actually the case, is that there is a much more solid arc of a film somewhere out there, but Tom Blythe was just so damn charismatic and charming that they didn't want to ruin that. So then they're like, what is our major demographic going to appreciate more? Is having more, focusing more on this charming man or focusing more on this psychological descent?
Yeah.
And they decided, let's focus on how pretty Tom Blythe is.
Well, I mean, the selling of the pretty boy is gonna sell more tickets and give the movie more longevity with its core fan base. But to jaded motherfuckers like us, ooh, we're not swayed. We're not swayed. I mean, good looking man, very charming man, yes, but you can only be so charming. But you can't say. But your charm cannot save a messy, muddled script. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, completely. Did you like Lucy Gray in this?
I liked a lot of the cast in this movie. I thought Lucy Gray was all right. I feel like they really were, because I kind of wasn't aware that there was gonna be a lot of singing in this movie, and they're really trying to push Rachel Zegler as like a
triple threat.
A triple threat. You know, she's an actress, she's beautiful, she's a singer, and the movie really kind of starts to be really repetitive after a while, where it's like, okay, here's another song, and she's a great singer, don't get me wrong, but it feels like they're really trying to force it in a way, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that is to which is probably the smaller one, is to sell the soundtrack and get a lot of the streams of the soundtrack on Spotify.
Yeah.
But B, I think also make a lot of TikTok sound bites, so then the film can gain traction on TikTok for people to watch the movie.
That's exactly why it feels forced and all that, because look, a lot in the context of the movie, a lot of the sequences of her singing, they do work, but I just could not help but have the feeling that it feels like there's a bit of an agenda behind all these scenes of Rachel Zegler singing. Oh my god, I just realized when I said agenda, I'm sounding like Alex Jones right now. No, but
exactly.
The film,
it's this left-wing agenda in this movie.
Exactly. No, the film is trying to push this
it's marketing to you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's doing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the film has a marketing agenda that is trying to it's pushing the soundtrack. It's pushing me to use these sound bites on TikTok, like you said. That's how I felt during a lot of scenes after the fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I get you there.
Yeah.
Rachel Zegler has a wonderful singing voice, though, have to say.
Oh, no, not denying that at all.
And the marketing team that seemed to have some sort of involvement in the production of this too, I think that they are really catchy songs. They are quite sort of brainworms that don't leave your mind.
Yeah, no, they are fun. They are fun toe tappers, yeah, and they do work in service of the scenes that they're displayed in. You know what I mean? But yeah,
It also really works for Lucy Gray's character, having her as this artist in District 12. The whole thing is that she's a part of sort of this musical sort of tribe group thing, right? That travels across the districts. Is that correct?
I think you're correct. Yeah.
I find that a really interesting, cool layer to this world that connects the different districts.
Mm-hmm.
So I overall thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
And Rachel Zegler is a complete, to me, feels like a Disney actress. I don't know if she is a Disney actress or not.
She's going to be, because she's going to be in the new Snow White movie.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I did read about that.
Yeah,
Do you think that she feels like a Disney Channel actress, though, to you?
Oh, no, definitely.
And
I definitely get that vibe, yeah.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of Rachel Zegler in the coming years. She's going to be freaking everywhere.
What was her big break? Might I ask? Like, what was she in that like really like launched her to superstardom? Do you know?
Oh, she was Maria in West Side Story in like
wait, was she the one that won? She won Best Supporting Actress for that movie, right?
No. That was Ariana DeBose.
Oh, okay. So, but she was in West Side Story. Oh, okay.
She's the lead in West Side Story.
Wow.
She's Maria. Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. That's her.
Oh, okay. I didn't know because I've never watched the Spielberg West Side Story. But okay, that's cool.
Oh, okay. If it is pretty much just. If you like the original, you will like this one. It's a glossier version of the original.
Never saw the original, so I'll have to...
Oh, dude.
I'll have to get around to it.
West Side Story, freaking fabulous, man.
Oh, yeah?
Like as in the IP and musical as a whole, so good.
Hell yeah.
Especially that song, Maria. Oh, my God.
Well, I might have to give those a watch at some point.
Yeah, if you want to keep on seeing Rachel Zegler, go for it. Another like quite hot actress at the moment, hot in Hollywood, Hunter Schafer as Tigress.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Tigress.
Yeah, so this is a final. So watching the movie when they introduced Tigress and all that, because I remember like seeing the cast list for this before watching the movie, and I'm like, oh okay, Hunter Schafer's in this. All right, cool, that's sick. What Tigress? What the hell? It's not the same Tigress that we saw in Mockingjay Part 2, is it? Apparently it is. Apparently they're family. What the fuck?
Exactly. Apparently it is. And I mentioned this to like, so I at work told people that I had like just watched all the Hunger Games movies for the first time, and of course telling them that I didn't like, I'm not in love with them. I don't think they're the best movies ever. I was attacked. So
it's just because you're a guy, Rhys. You just don't get it. Okay, it wasn't made for you.
Yeah, no, I wasn't attacked, but I was just like, they were like, why? Like, please explain why.
Yeah.
And I explained how there are these, like, sort of dangling threads that just are unanswered if you are a viewer of just the film series.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Tigress, and one of the work friends was like, oh, but now, like, you get it though, right? Because of the prequel. Like, now you get the connection.
Right, yeah, no.
What? No. No, they do not explain that connection at all. Like, how does... Yes, they are the same people, and I get because they share a name that they are the same person.
Yeah.
But, so for the 8 years between these two movies coming out or something, 8 to 10 years, is that there, for 10 years in the film canon, there is no explanation for why there's a random Catwoman there.
Yeah.
And then in the prequel, them having her as a character does not explain why she turns into a cat lady, and then also is friends with Katniss and like helps her. It doesn't explain that at all. There's so many gaps between A and B.
Oh my lord,
there is. And to claim that because both of those characters now exist in like the same cinema canon for this franchise does not explain anything. there's still a massive gap. There is a 65-year gap. Also, this is an 85-year-old woman or something that is helping them. That is this cat lady. That's another layer now. So it does not answer anything.
If anything, it leaves open more questions than answers.
Yeah,
really. Like, bro, I literally had to do go into further reading after watching the movie, being like, okay, so what is Tigress's deal? Why does she become a cat person? What happened between her and Snow and all that stuff? I would have liked if the movies explained it. Maybe the books explain it. I don't know. Did Hannah say that the books explain it?
I believe so. I am completely giving I'm believing that the books do much better in explaining this.
Oh yeah, probably. But the films themselves, as like their own separate mediums that like you should be able to watch on their own and still get the full picture. They not only do a piss poor job at explaining it, they don't explain it and leave us wondering more questions than answers. Yeah.
Yeah, you are completely right. By having Hunter Schafer come about as Tigress, but 65 years in the past, it only makes me more confused as to how are these two connected, why are these two connected, and it's like, so Katniss, because Katniss very much seems like that she knows who Tigress is in Mockingjay, right?
Yeah.
So she has like almost a personal, like 1 degree of separation between President Snow already? What? What?
I do not get it. Maybe Tigress found some of those Katniss vines or weeds or whatever the hell it was. Which maybe she found one of those Katniss weeds, and she's like, oh, Katniss, that's a cool name, and then gets a feeling of like, one day I'm going to meet a person named Katniss. Like
her cat senses.
Exactly.
Her cat senses going off.
Her cat senses went off. Yes. Also, might I say that name drop, fucking terrible. Just awful.
Oh,
Did not need to be there. Like, look, the Mockingjay name drop was borderlining on eye rolling, but that's fine because like because a Mockingjay is like a natural animal in this world and all that. That's acceptable. But my God, saying Katniss right after the fact when I was giving the movie like the benefit of the doubt. Oh my
They
Lord.
doubled down on explaining Han Solo. They pulled a Han Solo.
I know. Oh my Lord, it was terrible. I'm like, okay, if there's one thing that this film is not doing, it's not like legitimately like just like name dropping like characters or showing like a baby Peter or something like that. Like it's not feeling, it's a tiny bit egregious, but it's not too egregious. And then they just had to slip in one of those lines. They had to slip in a Han Solo line, just to really piss me off.
And what I find so frustrating about it is that so many people are going to be getting like and getting and almost like it is answering questions and giving greater context to why President Snow doesn't like Katniss, because this is legitimate. This is not how I feel about this at all. This is legitimately how people are receiving it. Is that the reason it gives President Snow more reason to hate Katniss in the original, like, sort of timeline canon of the Hunger Games, because her name reminds him of Lucy Gray, the love that he has lost.
God,
so it gives greater strength to the hatred between there. What? It's not enough.
Sorry, you go first.
Okay, it's not enough that Katniss is trying to overrule his government and also kill him. No. The thing that puts it over the edge that makes him not like her is that she has a name that reminds him of a past love in his life.
No.
You know what? That is not adult logic. That is child logic. That is a child writing a narrative story, and then the villain says a word that reminds them of reminds the hero of their past, which then unlocks this emotion that gives further power to the motivation of this character. It is fucking ridiculous.
Look, the way that I would like to look at it is that maybe if you like, I'll give like people that believe that whole Katniss bullshit the benefit of the doubt, because maybe he hates Katniss and is like so like enamored with her, not only because she wants to destroy his regime and all that, but maybe the film could have maybe been trying to tell us that like maybe Katniss has like a bit of a passing her presence just reminds him of Lucy Gray, but the film without telling us maybe could hint to the fact that like the way Lucy Gray acts, or the way that like the way that she behaves and all that reminds him in a sense of a Lucy Gray when he's thinking about when he's like talking to Katniss, interacting with Katniss and all that. But the film does not really convey that at all. Lucy Gray does not really act like Katniss whatsoever. It's just all they do is just have a stupid name drop in the film, and audiences are now just like, okay, so that's why he hates Katniss. It's like, no, and that is a pretty stupid justification.
Like, he probably has, more reason to hate Katniss because she wants him dead and wants to undermine his way of government.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make more sense than her name similar to other name?
Oh,
well, her name same as other name.
Oh, my lord. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Like, oh, my lord. I just love the fact that, like, he hates... You know what? He hates Katniss so much because she reminds him of a girl that he fumbled back during his young adulthood years. That was what that is like. I remember reading that. That was like someone's review on Letterboxd, and I was like, that is such a funny review. I love that. That is a great way of looking at the movie. Man becomes Adolf Hitler because he fumbled someone. My God. Oh my lord. Hey, President Snow, we've all been there, mate. Just like us for real.
Speaking of evil presences, I want to bring up another character in here. Yeah. A new AAA Hollywood introduction to this franchise with Peter Dinklage playing Casca. Man, this character, it's like that he's doing a strange, like, bad Bane impression the entire freaking movie that he's in it. I could not take the film seriously whenever Peter Dinklage was on screen.
Really? Because I didn't get a Bane impression at all. I'm watching the movie. All I see is that he's just playing Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. He's just playing Tyrion Lannister. He's playing the same person that's, like, you know, pretty high up in the political regime. He's depressed. He's an alcoholic, or in this case, he's like taking super Valium or some shit. Like,
I think so.
Super morphine or whatever. Like, I'm watching the movie, and all I see is just him playing Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. If you watch like the show, especially the later seasons of Game of Thrones, it just feels like the same character. It's the same character, and it takes me out. Like, I don't see Casca, I just see Tyrion Lannister. So instead of being in medieval times, he's just in like this weird bizarro future type meme, you know?
It sounds like that he's like gargling marbles in his mouth, like when he's talking there, because he does this weird voice like this during the movie, and it just like, and it feels so put on and not like the actual it feels like the character's putting that on instead of that being the character's voice,
right? Yeah,
and every scene that he is in is just a function for terrible exposition.
His whole service is like to be exposition, basically.
Oh, hello, Coriolanus. You are the son of your father, and I was his best friend. Like, he says that about fucking 3 times.
Yes.
I know that I'm the son of my father. That is what father means. And
it's like
the amount of times that he mentions,
I don't like you because you're your father's son. Like, my God, we get it, man. You didn't. It was already pushing it the first time you said it, man. You don't need to keep reminding him. Like, I just wanted Snow to be like, yes, I know you don't like me. I know you don't want me to win the Pulitzer Prize or the Pillith Prize or whatever the fuck it was called. Like, it's like he should have just been like to Peter Dinklage, just like, I know, dude, I know. Calm the fuck down, please.
And already that I cannot take this character seriously. When it leads to his death scene at the end of the movie, I let out a massive laugh in the theater, and I felt so embarrassed for doing it, but I could not help it because it seemed like a freaking cartoon character's death. The way that he flops onto his desk and is like,
oh my lord! Yeah.
It's almost like his tongue, like he hung his tongue out and was like, "I'm dead now."
Have his tongue out, have some cartoon crosses in his eyes.
Exactly.
Like we're watching the rat die in Fantastic Mr. Fox or some crap.
Yeah.
Why isn't that a cartoon rat?
Exactly.
Why isn't that a cartoon rat dying felt more genuine and felt more earned and realistic than a real life a supposedly three-dimensional character in a bloody multi-million-dollar movie made for like young adults and all that. Like, what the fuck is going on, dude? And oh my
exactly.
lord. Also, I find it really funny that it's like. I find it funny that he's like, yeah, so the Hunger Games, it was just a drunk idea that your dad and I had, and he just rolled with it. How did you feel about that kind of revelation, Rhys?
Well, it sort of, it made me think, what does this actually, it's dropped as almost like a big reveal that it's like, is it to make us think, maybe these Hunger Games are a bit of a stupid idea then?
You think?
Yeah. Hasn't the last 5 movies been showing us this?
Yeah.
What?
The film is so focused on trying to like doing what a prequel does, or trying to tie everything together, trying to have everything connect, over-explain everything. To over-explain, the Hunger Games were just a result of two uni mates drunk off their asses, and one of them decided to actually take it seriously. Like, huh? So basically, the Hunger Games the Hunger Games origins similar to the origins of Marathon Me, where I remember you pitching the idea, and I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be cool, but part of me was also like being like, oh yeah, but maybe it's just a thing where it's like, mates talk about starting a YouTube channel that never transpires or whatever, and then eventually takes off and all that. The Hunger Games have the same origin as Marathon Me. Think about it.
Yeah, and we don't have to tell you that it's a stupid idea. If you've been listening, then you can already hear that, right?
Yeah.
And another line that's supposed to be it's supposed to be the mic drop of this movie,
right,
as it cuts to black, and then you hear Coriolanus Snow from the original film repeating the line, "It's the things we love most that destroy us." That So then it's trying to say that, is it because of his romance with Lucy Gray that then all of the events that transpire in Pan Am and all of the canon of this series occur because of that, where it doesn't... I don't think that this movie conveys that it is that romance solely that translates to his descent.
No, yeah, God.
Wouldn't it have the opposite effect, right? That he figures out, and firsthand experiences that these people in the Hunger Games are actually people that are worthy of love and emotion and have emotional depth to them. And how does that then, this romance, trigger him going, okay, I'm going to make this Hunger Games keep on going and facilitate this way of government for the next 65 years?
He fumbles a girl and then just becomes an incel, and it's like, yeah, all right, everyone must die. Yeah, every other child in the district must die because I fumbled a girl when I was younger and all that stuff. Like, Jesus, I fumbled girls in the past. So have you, Rhys. But we're not going to goddamn start a goddamn battle royale genocide over it. We just
have a podcast to get all that out.
Exactly, Rhys. Exactly the right way to do it. All right, Snow. Maybe if he started a podcast, maybe then he would have found the one, you never know.
Far less destructive.
Exactly. It's sad when someone like Mark Corrigan is more well-adjusted than fucking President Snow, Jesus.
Well, also, Peter Dinklage and also Viola Davis's, play on evil for evil's sake just felt so silly. Evil feels so silly in this movie, and it's like that the entire movie is distilled to those scenes in Mockingjay with the game maker and... actually, no, I don't even think that's Mockingjay. In Catching Fire with the game maker and Coriolanus Snow talking about their evil plans in a dark room together, drinking whiskey. These are cartoon supervillains in this movie.
Definitely. But I will say that, I actually did quite enjoy the scenes when Viola Davis was on screen. Is she over the top and can I take her seriously? No. But, I had a lot more fun watching her be all, over the top, cartoonishly evil compared to Peter Dinklage. I don't know. I feel like there was more energy behind her performance compared to that of Dinklage, I feel,
Yeah.
I got a kick out of watching her chew the scenery and all that. I don't know. I enjoyed that, honestly.
Every time that I saw her, all I could picture was just Angelica's like rundown Barbie doll that she has in Rugrats. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I never really watched Rugrats or really at all.
Oh, missing out. I think. Are you happy for us to get into contact with our book correspondent Hannah to talk about the prequel?
I think that sounds like a lovely idea, Rhys.
It has been a week, and we're back. But I could not bring Rhys and Kane in the studio, but I do have Josh Hutcherson and Liam Hemsworth in the studio.
Hey guys, it's me, Josh Hutchinson. Can't believe I'm here.
G'day guys, it's me, Liam Hemsworth, the bargain bin Chris Hemsworth. But you know, I've been in a couple things. I'm in The Witcher season 4.
Who's at the door? No, don't grab them. Don't grab them like that. Oh my god.
Crikey.
Oh my god. Kane, Rhys, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back for the final finale.
We are not okay.
God. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry.
We're not okay with you getting guests without telling us first.
That's kind of messed up. Why is the guest taking over and bringing in new guests?
Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry. I really mistaken them for you guys.
Okay,
you look identical.
Let's just move past and
this ugly business.
Talk about this newest installment in the Hunger Games franchise, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Hannah, what is this book like? How does this compare?
Yeah, do tell, because I didn't even know that this book existed until the movie was announced.
Okay, let's just talk about me as a reader.
Let's just talk about me.
I didn't realise this was the narcissism podcast.
Mate, have you listened to our podcast? I think we do know.
No, but so when I read the Hunger Games books, it was fun, it was fast-paced, it felt good. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes felt so long and lengthy. Like, it was good, but I really had to force myself down to read it before the movie. Now...
Why is that, do you think? Is it the pacing
I
that's drawn out?
don't know if it's me or if it's the book. Because I'm like, am I like now, like, because I'm on that whole, like, Instagram Reels thing, like, it's not attention, like, spanny, but, like, it's a bigger book.
It is a bigger book. This one goes past 500 pages physically, as you have mentioned earlier.
And they do have to cut a lot of things out of the movie, which I can now explain.
And physically, it is bigger. It feels like it is larger.
Bigger.
It's a lot more meaty.
Compare that to Mockingjay, which is the biggest book.
Oh, yeah, it feels heavier.
And again,
even if
talking
the words
about
are
the
bigger.
covers.
Oh my word, yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's really meaty, and it's like... It's great to get it. I think she did it really well because I think a lot of the really diehard fans wanted answers, wanted a bit more of Snow's backstory, and she tied it like perfectly with the franchise without it seeming like... Because when I first heard she was going to make a book, I said, oh, money.
Yeah, like it's like a complete cash grab type thing.
But then when I actually got the story and everything, it was actually one of the most well done like stories I think out of the entire franchise.
Like at least it had like the proper artistic integrity.
Like I feel like the Hunger Games had the best quality of production of the film, but the songs of like... What is it?
I really love this book, whatever it may be called.
What the fuck is it called?
The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes.
Oh, it's just one ballad, actually, miss.
No, but that... Oh, sorry. But, like, the script and the storyline is just like, ooh, ah. You know, it's
Ting
a bit
tang,
more...
walla walla bing bang.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought the third act was like.
So the first thing that is different to the movie that will shock you guys. So remember when
This one has words.
Kane's like literally getting the book. Wait, can we do an ASMR for the viewer just so they can hear the book?
Oh yeah, wait.
I hope you guys hear that.
There you go, guys.
I hope you guys hear that. That just kind of shows like the density.
Anyways, do tell, Hannah.
So you know how basically there's that scene where, you know, she doesn't do the assignment and then she puts her hand in and the snakes bite her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot her name.
The
woman.
Snow's friend. Yeah.
So Snow's friend, you know, Snow is basically... Okay, first thing I'll start off, that's the most general thing, is you get a deeper understanding of Coriolanus and how his mind works.
Right.
And you can really justify how he's going to become a villain, but at the same time, he had so many times to be good. Like, he had so many opportunities to be good, and Sejanus is kind of like that, like that showcase of, like, this is someone that is thinking of the good, but he's then thinking about how can he profit about this. So a lot of the movie, you think that they have a romantic connection, which yes, they do. But the difference between Lucy Gray's character and Snow's character, in my opinion, is that Lucy Gray is more like, I think, more of a loyal character. She doesn't care about her well-being. She wants to care about others, whereas Snow is thinking about, how am I going to profit? How am I going to win so I can get the Plymouth prize?
He's only like thinking about his self-interest.
His self-interest.
I think that it reflects the class divide between them too, right?
Yeah.
Is that like Lucy Gray is that sort of more lower class, sort of communal living person, where then Snow is the upper class, more individualistic. You rise to power, and it's just you that you're looking after.
And I guess, but then the thing is with Snow too is like, he has his drive of being in poverty to not be there again, because they were in such poverty and he went through such hard times. And then there's a scene also in the book that's not in the movie where they see a guy like eat a leg, like really.
Peter's leg?
Like,
damn, that's what happened.
That's where his leg is.
Yeah, I knew
it.
The question that I wanted to ask is, with his arc, does it feel like a very natural like progression and a very natural descent into like evil?
If I tell you guys, this book is long, but the movie does it perfectly. The quick pace of the betrayal end scene, like that end scene where he's like, Lucy Gray, and he starts shooting, that's exactly like the books. It's so fast-paced and it's such a shock that you're kind of like, wait, what? Like, it just happens out of nowhere. So it's like they have this kind of like, we trust each other. And then I think in the last part, I'm not sure if the last part's a bit different. I don't remember, because I remember I rushed the last part because I was watching the movie the next day.
Yeah, right.
But another thing was also with, like when the girl that gets bitten by the snake, in the books, she actually comes back again.
Oh, really?
And she's in the medical bed and she is just like, has yellow eyes, is all scaly and everything, and she becomes she's back in the games as a mentor. But obviously, they would have had to cut off that time because that would have been like a lot of time, and it's already nearly a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Long, yeah.
Well, the reason that I ask about his arc is because I feel like it doesn't feel that natural and smooth in the movie.
I too agree that I feel. Because like you say that her kind of his betrayal with he's falling out with it's fast, but like I think you might have the same opinion, Rhys. I didn't really care for that, honestly. It felt too fast, where it just completely blindsided me.
It's a snap.
And throughout most of the movie, like Snow is like he doesn't seem like a person that is like a morally bankrupt person just getting worse and worse and worse, like a Walter White type character. He seems like a pretty like decent dude struggling with moral ambiguity.
Yeah.
Like say like, I don't know, like Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead, and then eventually just at the very end is like, oh wait, we forgot to make him into a villain. Yeah. Let's just have him snap like that.
And that's the thing, I think the book justifies us more, where it's like Suzanne Collins wants to show off like he has so many times to do the right thing and the morally good thing. And I think the whole thing with Sejanus is like a turning point in the books where you're like, oh. And also, in the movie, he's upset about Sejanus, but in the books, his dialogue is kind of like he's still being selfish about it. Like, he's like, he had to do what he had to do to survive and be the best.
Well, because like I thought with the whole like Sejanus death scene, like I was thinking, or like hell, even before the Sejanus death scene, when like when Snow, when he murders like one of the rebels and all that, and I'm thinking, okay, so this is the turning point we get for Snow, but then it doesn't. But like it still shows him as like. The next scene is like him all still morally conflicted.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, okay, I thought we were supposed to like start getting into like him like kind of his descent when we still have him as a morally conflicted character instead of like just showing him morally just grey. Morally bankrupt at this point.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just very. It felt very rushed for me. His whole descent into villainy, I reckon.
Definitely. And it has so much time in the movie to let this happen, right? There should be a great... That's what I thought it was going to be deserving of that runtime.
Yeah.
But then ultimately it felt like it wasn't.
No, sorry, you go first.
So with it being like a longer book, that's what I'm thinking too, is like, does it have a lot more time to really sort of flesh out this character and have a very like even arc?
Yeah.
Or does it just like jump off a cliff?
I feel like in the books, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like his dialogue kind of justifies, like you see him as a selfish, he's morally basically pushed by how he's going to profit. He's pushed by the prize. He's pushed by being seen as good, but as a self-serving purpose. So like, he's like, in the books it says how charming he is. He's very charming, and Sejanus, he's like, he's not nice to him, he's not rude to him, he just acknowledges him.
Right.
But then Sejanus takes it as he's really nice and he's a good guy because everyone else in the capital bullies him.
Yeah, right.
So I guess like it's like Snow, I don't know, and even their relationship, like the dynamic between Lucy and Snow, it's just like, you can tell like Snow's just seeing it as more of a self-profiting thing, and it's like power just overcomes him, I feel. Like that's the whole motto. It's like the power overcomes him, and he feels like there's this, I guess, the guilt that eats him up, then he thinks that Lucy is going to betray him because that's what he's willing to do for power, because he thinks if he was in her position and it was her gain, he said, I don't want to lose what he's already, you know what I mean?
Because it feels like the film just kind of like suddenly remembered to like include that whole way of thinking when it came to him and Lucy Gray.
So it's like,
because throughout most of the movie, it's like
romantic.
It feels genuinely romantic.
Love,
and
that's what I was really confused by.
I'm thinking like, okay, because like I had no idea where the story was going. I'm thinking like, okay, so is Lucy gonna die in some like grotesque way, and then Snow reluctantly but slowly over time like becomes the person that he is? No, it's just like after like one conversation, it's just
he's evil now.
I'm evil now. Oh, ooh.
So it sounds like the book is a lot more effective with like
the betrayal of, because he's it's the inner, it's like it's not like his like perspective, it's like basically talking about like Coriolanus and around his thoughts and what he's thinking.
Yeah, like his own internal monologue type thing,
another
right?
Another thing is the one thing that's like, it's Katniss.
Oh, I fucking hate
God.
that.
No.
Like, surely you can make it more creative.
No. Let me say this. I was already kind of rolling my eyes when they will talk about like Mockingjays, but I'm like, okay, no, that's fair enough, because they were like an actual they were a creature in the movie and all that. Fine, whatever. But when she said Katniss, I full on like I slumped back in my chair and I was about to start laughing. I'm like,
I call it Katniss.
Oh, don't you think that's a better name?
I was like, fuck off, come on, no.
So it's kind of funny. So basically, like a potato comes for his downfall.
Is that in the book? Is that a line in the book, Hannah?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Oh my god! And here I am giving shit to the final line of Mockingjay being on the nose. That is just like,
because
I love the final line.
What it's trying to do there, right, is that it's trying to say like, ooh, that's like planting a seed in Snow's mind.
You don't need that.
Planting a seed of why he doesn't like Katniss.
That's what also triggers. You know how you're saying you hate the fan like theories of like them being related? That just created more of a swarm of it, because people are saying, well, if she named the potato Katniss, then her son is the father, so she's the grandmother. Like there's all those theories.
So stupid.
Another thing also, like another
Different
juxtaposition.
characters.
The hanging tree. Flawless, I feel like, integrating, because, you know, in Mockingjay, Katniss sings the hanging tree, and there's also a remix on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
You should put it in the podcast. Like at the end, I'm in.
Hopefully we won't get sued for copyright.
Oh, you probably will. Create our own ensemble.
We'll check out the copyright laws for that.
And about the music too in the Hunger Games. I don't know if you've spoken about it, but have you looked into the music and the amount of artists, like great artists, they've had for the Hunger Games, like the trilogy that's saying?
No.
We didn't really discuss that that much, no.
Yeah, well, they have Lorde, Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, and Olivia Rodrigo's song for this film is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's called Can't Catch Me Now, and it works really well. It ties really well with it. But another thing about the song is basically the hanging tree. I was so confused by that song when I like read the 3 books and watched the movies. I'm like, what is the hanging tree? I never thought is where people like got hung.
Oh, really?
I just thought it was like a type of tree.
You thought it was like a metaphor or something. This who knew that
the hanging tree.
Yeah, the hanging trees were all me and my friends used to go play and all that.
It clicked with me and I went in cinema. I'm like, I'm so silly.
This is darker than I thought it was.
Yeah. So I guess that's a really good juxtaposition. And just the connection with Tigress as well. And then Snow's character of why he's so triggered by District 12 as well, because he also in the books, his dad died, I think, from something in District 12.
Do you think that connection is actually good? Or
The Mockingjay? Yes.
Yeah,
the
that's
Katniss
fair.
reference? No. The Katniss reference was so I call it Katniss.
Are you also trying to discuss about Tigress?
Tigress. I think the Tigress connection, fucking dumb, honestly. Not elaborated enough, and also doesn't feel like in the movie that it joins enough why this woman turns into a half cat, half woman.
No, it doesn't explain it at all. Yeah, it doesn't elaborate it at all.
They don't even
hint at it at all.
She doesn't have a pet cat that she's patting.
The only reference,
I really like this.
The only reference is her name is Tigress. That's it.
That's
literally it.
Only connecting thread.
Yeah. Took it literal.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna fucking make a Ballad of Songbirds and more snakes or whatever.
And there's so many loose ends about this. Alistair and I left, and he said, "What happened to her?" I said, "I don't think the author wants you to know." And Al went on a full-on, he watched all 3 films to work out, is Lucy Gray still alive?
Right.
And I said, maybe she died, maybe she's escaped, but no one knows what happens.
Well, yeah,
and you want an open ending for that.
Well, yeah, because I think what the point of Suzanne Collins wants is leave it ambiguous and leave the audience guessing, the audience and reader guessing what her fate was, whether or not she got shot by a stray bullet that Snow when he fired his gun, or maybe she disappeared, or God knows where she is.
Between the books and the movie is in the movie they don't talk about how they wipe the tape. In the books,
right,
Dr. Gull wipes the tapes.
Yeah,
and that's
because when you said wipe the tapes, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So yeah, when they say wipe the tapes, it's basically there's no recollection. My overall review, I don't know with you guys when you review this, but I felt like the first part and the second part, great. The third part felt like a completely different movie. In colour scheme and everything.
When they get to District 12. When he's sent to District 12.
I don't know if you guys remember part 1.
Yeah, when they're cut up in segments.
Yes. Like the book itself. But then part 3 just, again.
Completely different film.
It felt a little bit like that it could have been those first 2 parts, and then it was an epilogue that went on for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Because I genuinely thought that the movie was going to end after
you're thinking it's
after when Coriolanus is revealed to have cheated and all that. Yeah. I'm thinking okay, the movie's over, and then we obviously got just a little bit of an epilogue, just a little bit.
In the book, does it also feel like that last third, does it feel like it's consistent with the rest of the book?
Just felt rushed. Well, I think the prequel.
I think that's what we need. Yeah.
I think that is great.
Another fascinating conversation with Hannah. But in conclusion, to give our final notes on this movie, our re-entry and the world's re-entry into the Hunger Games franchise is that there were a lot of moving parts that were very promising, right? This could have been something really, really, really enriching to the franchise. Could have given a lot of context and also sort of filled in those gaps maybe that were missed in the world building of this franchise so far. But unfortunately, it sort of raised some more questions that we didn't even have in the first place. I like that it does at least answer a little bit of the mysticism of the sort of animals and creatures that exist in this world because of the experimenting that the Capitol have been doing to create these different animals and things. But ultimately, I think this movie sort of fails because that arc of Coriolanus Snow, it just does not naturally get to its conclusion. Instead, it drops off of a cliff and we get a compassionate, sympathetic President Snow throughout this movie, who then, on the flip of a coin, turns into the Snow that we know from the rest of the series. So I did enjoy it a bit, but I wanted it to sort of end and wrap up more than most of the other films in this franchise. Kane, What did you think?
I completely agree that, like, this film really did have a lot of potential to be really something special, not only in terms of connecting with the other films, but also, like, as a standalone film on its own. And while I enjoyed my time with this movie, however, I left the cinema, wanting more and feeling like the film was incomplete and kind of forgot what it was trying to do with its, it trying to be a character study on this huge villain. The film, I think, to sum up the film, it feels like if Breaking Bad were to have the entire series be show Walter White as this lovely, genuine, loving person that's just trying to do good by everyone, and then in the final 2 episodes decides, yep, okay, he's evil now, and just have him go on a massive killing spree. The film tries to be a villain origin story, but fails to commit to the bit, and decides to half-ass it at the very end. Good night, everybody.
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the ask.